and my black belts were my identity. It was such a great way to hide behind anything that I didn't want to talk about, anything negative that I felt about myself. And that identity became everything to me. And it was very fragile, I think. And I think that's why I took my identity of being a black belt and a martial artist so seriously for such a long time, is because it was a way that I could achieve and put that achievement forward, so I'd never have to face any other parts, and I would never have to really feel like I lacked. Welcome to Beyond the Black Belts podcast. I'm Megan Cotterill. I'm the owner and founder of 5 Elements Martial Arts in Calgary, Alberta, and the president of Team Canada for the World Kickboxing and Karate Union. Our topic today is why I chose Beyond the Black Belts, why I chose this to be the umbrella of how I wanted to share things with the world and how I wanted to experience things in the world, and sort of what I'm feeling right now in the place that I am. So we're going to go into why this title is relevant and how I feel about being beyond the black belts. If you like this podcast, don't be afraid to like, share, and follow. The thoughts behind my title of Beyond the Black Belts. So this is a lot to do with my identity and the different phases in my life and how I see myself in the world. So I put most of my life, so 35 years, into being a martial artist. I made it the focus of my entire career, all my passions, my drive. And I put so much importance on being a black belt and having that be plural. And the fact that I was never satisfied with just one black belt or just keeping martial arts as my hobby. I wanted to pursue this as my career. I wanted to turn my passion into a career. I wanted to figure out how to do that, even though it wasn't, as I was growing up, anything that I ever saw to be true or real. So this is kind of the journey from wanting to pursue this to the fullest extent that I possibly could and kind of go overboard in a lot of ways. Like, one black belt wasn't enough. I had to get 4, and I had to get higher ranks, and I had to compete, and I couldn't just do the basics of competing. I had to do 8 different divisions and multiple styles at multiple associations in order to feel of value or acceptable to me, or feeling like I was good enough or did enough. So I feel like it's such a positive way to usher in the new phase of my life and who I want to be, and have my black belts just not only part of this business, but not just my self-worth. What is beyond for me? What is beyond for you? What is beyond for everybody after a certain point of what they always thought their identity was? I like the topic of identity because it's kind of great to ask a question. I don't know if you've ever felt that your identity was a way of putting on a mask, and your identity was a way of showing a better version of yourself to the world. I don't know if your identity was what you thought was your self-worth and your self-confidence and the way that you would find acceptance and love in the world. And it would make you feel good enough, and it would make you feel worthy enough, and it would make you feel cool enough and smart enough and educated enough. And you could hide behind that identity in a safe place where you would never have to talk about all the parts of yourself that you didn't like, and all the parts of yourself that you were embarrassed about, and all the parts of yourself that you were scared to ever share and have people judge you on. Well, those are all the reasons why my black belt was my identity, and my black belts were my identity. It was such a great way to hide behind anything that I didn't want to talk about, anything negative that I felt about myself. And that identity became everything to me. And it was very fragile, I think. And I think that's why I took my identity of being a black belt and a martial artist so seriously for such a long time, is because it was a way that I could achieve and put that achievement forward so I'd never have to face any other parts, and I would never have to really feel like I lacked. And that identity, if it was ever questioned, would absolutely destroy and break me. So being a black belt was really hard. I think when you put a lot of your life and a lot of dedication, a lot of hours into something that you feel is you and part of you, and the reason why you're okay in the world, when it is rocked and it is questioned and it is put down, it feels different. So through being a black belt, I was always told that I was never really a good martial artist or never a real martial artist. And I would never open up my own school, and I would never have staff, and I would never be a national champion. I'd never be a world champion. I would never be able to be good at other martial arts or be able to compete all over the world or even be a predominant coach. And I think because my identity was so important to me, and this was the identity that I wanted to have as my giant costume, my alter ego, I wanted to do it to the highest level that I thought was even possible. And it was such a huge motivation for me because I thought if I was just good at this, that everything else would be totally okay in my life. I wouldn't have to feel failure about my relationships. I wouldn't have to feel failure about maybe not going to a prestigious university. I wouldn't have to feel bad about how I looked or how my body looked or how maybe I wasn't cool and didn't fit in. And that identity became so important to me that it did hugely affect my mental health because it was so fragile. Anyone that ever put it down or anyone that ever questioned it would lead to depression and anxiety. And anytime that anyone ever threatened to take away that identity, which happened, it was absolutely terrifying. And it would put me into a tailspin, and it would cause such terrible overtraining and such terrible control issues that I had to realize that this could not be my identity long-term and moving forward. It could be something that I was super proud of. It could be something that I was excited to actually be and to have earned over this period of time. And it could allow me some super cool stories and career and opportunities and ways of just kind of being different in a positive way. But it couldn't be the reason why I felt good about myself anymore. It couldn't be the only reason that I was proud or happy to be alive or that I would be loved if someone thought my identity was magical. If you're liking this podcast, don't be afraid to share, like, or make a comment. So with the topic of Beyond the Black Belts, this is all about me finding my self-worth behind just being a black belt and beyond just being a martial artist. Finding my worth through that is realizing that maybe I'm a super funny human, and that is okay. And realizing that I can be a good friend and share stories and bring joy and be helpful in the world is so much better and so much beyond what I thought my identity was worth. Exploring that self-worth does not have to come from your work ethic or how you're presenting yourself or all of the accolades or achievements that you have are the most important thing. I think I'm so achievement driven, and that it's been my total motivation. And I think it comes from such a lack of self-esteem. And I think it comes from such a lack of confidence. And I thought that the more I got further achievements and was good enough and strong enough and did enough and tried to be as elevated as I possibly could all the time, it made me feel like I had to be perfect constantly and I had to be in control constantly. And that is not what worth should be based on. And I found no joy in it at all. It actually led to so much more sadness than I ever thought was possible. So exploring that and giving myself new challenges other than constantly achieving imperfection has been a huge game changer in my life. And then, putting value on how I make people feel and how I make them feel seen and heard the way I wished I was seen and heard elevates my soul so much more than when is my next black belt? When is my next fight? When is my next world title? When is my next award? That can't be my motivation anymore. It can't be my drive anymore. And so it's time to look beyond. What is business beyond identity? I made my business my identity. I made my person my identity. I mean, even my Instagram is Ninja Girl MMA. I mean, if that's not more of what I was trying to have as an identity, I don't know what is. So it's been really exciting exploring what can come out of that identity as a Renshi, as a sensei, as a coach, as a martial artist. And what that led to was being super unorthodox and thinking outside the box. And it led me to different parts of my career that have been so much fun and so engaging, and feel like I have so much more purpose than I ever thought I could ever have. I mean, I'm a black belt, and I learned a lot of really cool martial arts skills. And I feel like I know maybe this much of what I could possibly learn in the world. I have so much more to learn and grow and develop and do. But now it feels less about achievement and more about how I can help. So I get to teach at-risk youth now. I get to work with people that really want to learn self-protection and self-defense. I want to give other people what I felt through my achievements and not just the achievement itself. I want people to smash a board and feel awesome about themselves and feel like the strongest person that ever lived, and know that they can break through wood. They can, if they ever needed to, which I hope they never do, but they can break someone's nose or jaw. They can protect their bodies. They have permission to stick up for themselves now. They get to feel like they get to be part of a community that is excited to come and see them. They get to feel like when other parts of their lives are falling down or not working out, or their circumstances absolutely suck, they get a chance to come somewhere and feel like they're included and appreciated and welcomed and normal. They get to feel normal. I love the fact that being able to create a business around more of the feeling of how I felt through these achievements and being a black belt was worth so much more than the actual achievements themselves. I got to create the world and the environment that I wished I always had. And I wish that I had had coaches and leaders that told me that I was so much more than that certificate, or so much more than that gold medal, and that if I didn't win those things and didn't have those things, that I was an absolute and total failure. I get to just help people to be the best version of themselves, or see the best version of themselves. I get to make them laugh. I get to help them move. I get to help them make better and healthier choices. And it also creates a platform for people to be able to communicate better and develop better social skills and tell their story. So thank you for tuning in to the Beyond the Black Belts podcast. See you next time.